What's going on, guys? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I'm back with more coverage of Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This time we're going to talk all about the new monsters in the book. So we're going to jump over here to D&D Beyond, and I've got the Appendix open. Appendix A is Dungeon Denizens. This will have the new monsters. As you can see, there's not too many, and it's also going to have some that may be duplicates that are found in other books, but because the nature of modules is that they want you to have everything you need in the book itself, that's kind of how that goes. So let us take a dive in. So first up, number one right out the list is Halster Blackcloak, the creator of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, or the Mad Mage in the title of this novel here, or of this book, The Mad Mage of Undermountain. So here we can see he's a CR 23, and obviously he's got spells all the way up through 9th level. He is a wizard. As you can see here, he's got all of this stuff, but he does have resistance to fire and lightning damage from the Blast Scepter, which we talked about in the magic item video. You can see his Arcana history and perception checks are pretty bananas. He only has wisdom saving throw proficiency, so that's pretty good, but he does have a 24 intelligence and an 18 in every other stat except for strength, which is a 10. Speaks a ton of language. He has dark vision out to 120 feet, but that's because of some of his items. 14 AC base with 17 with mage armor, which he will likely have up, and 246 hit points, which if you look at that, that's 29 D8, which theoretically means he's a level 29 character, and even though he's a wizard, he has D8 hit dice, if you want to think about it that way. So what specialty things does he have? Well, he has a robe of eyes, which gives you sight in all direction, dark vision to 120 feet, advantage on wisdom, perception checks, and allows you to see invisible creatures and objects, as well as the ethereal plane out to 120 feet. Talked about the Blast Scepter, but this is Arcane Focus, resistance to fire and lightning, and allows him to cast Thunder Wave at 4th level without expending a spell slot with a DC 16. He also wears a Horned Ring, which is a magic item that makes you immune to Undermountain's magical restrictions, which is kind of necessary to do your thing if you created this dungeon. Arcane Recovery, once a day. This is the wizard's thing. When he finishes a short rest, he recovers all his spell slots of 5th level or lower. Because he's such a high level, that's just how that works. Legendary resistance 3 times a day. If he dies in Undermountain, he revives after 1d10 days with all his hit points and any missing body parts. His new body appears in a random location. He's a 20th level spellcaster, DC 22 on his spells, plus 14 to hit with magic attacks. He can cast Disguise Self and Invisibility at will, and he can cast Fly and Lightning Bolt once without spending a spell slot, but can't do so until he finishes a short or long rest. And then we see his cantrips here, and let's see, does he have any particularly nasty spells? Magic Missile, Shield. Actually, he's a pretty well-rounded wizard for what he's got prepared here. Counter Spell, Dispel Magic Fireball, Polymorph, Bigby's Hand, DS Wall of Force, a Globe of Invulnerability, Finger of Death, Symbol, Teleport, Maze, Mind Blank. He actually doesn't have, from a quick look, it looks like he doesn't have any spells that are contained in Xanathar's Guide. So he has just Player's Handbook spells, which is kind of interesting. We talked about the Blast Scepter and his legendary actions. He can cast a spell of 3rd level or lower. As 1 legendary action, he does have 3. And for 2, he can expend a 4th level spell slot or lower and gain 5 temporary hit points per level of spell slot. There you go. And here's his lair actions. Because the Undermountain is his lair. On the count of a 20, he targets a volume of unoccupied space or solid stone no larger than 4 10-foot cubes within 30 feet of him, turning that into a solid worked stone, or the other way around. Causes a doorway or archway within 30 feet of him to disappear and be replaced by a blank wall, or restores a door or archway he previously removed. He deactivates or reactivates one of Undermountain's magic gates. The gate must be in 120 feet. The regional effects. A magical scrying sensor appears, taking the form of a ghastly 1-foot diameter humanoid eye surrounded by motes of light. The sensor is stationary, though Halster can reorient the eye to face in any direction. Halster can see through the eye. It's basically a scrying or an arcane eye spell. Minor illusory effect is triggered as though Halster had cast minor illusion in the area. Common illusions include the echo of rattling chains, the distant sound of explosive spells being cast, a dusty cloak or a rusty helm floating as though worn by an invisible figure, and illusory footprints appearing on a dusty floor. Silent apparitions of dead adventurers drift through the halls and rooms as though they are lost. An apparition can't be harmed, and it doesn't acknowledge creatures or objects in any way. It can't be dispelled, so it's just like a spooky area of effect thing, or environmental effect. Here we have the Archdruid, which I believe first appeared in Volo's Guide to Monsters. So, or possibly Warden Cadence, but we've already been over it. You can see it's a 9th level, it's a CR12, 9th level druid with the ability to wild shape into a beast or elemental of challenge rating 6 or less. Champion, I'm pretty sure, is also in Volo's Guide to Monsters. This is a pretty powerful 9th level fighter, human fighter typically, but you can make it, actually it's any race, so any race fighter with plate mail and a great sword, making 3 attacks or using a short bow. And it does an additional 2d6 damage if the champion has half its hit points or less. Indomitable twice a day, and second wind. Alright, Yankee Gish. I believe this may be in Mordenkainen's, but we're going to look at this because I think this may be unique to this book. So let's take a look here. Make me down a little. Alright, Gith, Lawful Evil, got half plate, 123 hit points. Pretty decent mid-range stats. Con intelligence, wisdom saves, insight, perception, and stealth proficiency. Has psionics. DC 15 plus 7 to hit with a spell. Invisible mage hand. Jump, misty step, non-detection only on himself. Plane shift and telekinesis once a day, and jump, misty step, and non-detection, or 3 times a day each. And then it has spellcasting as well. It's an 8th level spellcaster, still DC 15. Cantrips, Blade, Ward, Light, Message, True Strike, and then we've got Expeditious Retreat, Magic Missile, Sleep, Thunderwave, Blur, Invisibility, Levitate, Counterspell, Fireball, Haste, and Dimension Door. And when it uses its action to cast a spell, it can make a weapon attack as a bonus action, or make 2 longsword attacks that deal D8 plus 3 slashing damage, or D10 if wielded versatilely, and deals an extra 4d8 psychic damage. I guess we have a Lava Child, which is just a terrifying thing to look at. Physically identical to one another, lava children have muscular builds. Most are born in the fountains of creation, also known as the plane of magma. Not violent by nature. On reaching adulthood, a lava child gains the ability to procreate by itself. Lays eggs. Alright, CR3, AC 11, 60 hit points, strongest in strength. Immune to fire, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from metal weapons. So that doesn't matter if your weapon is magic. If it's metal, it still does half damage. Dark Vision, can move through metal without hindrance and has advantage on attack rolls against any creature wearing metal armor using a metal shield. 1 bite and 1 claw. The bite is 2d6 plus 4, and the claws are 1d6 plus 4. I didn't even notice the clawed hands, which make them that much creepier. Alright, what else we got here? Living Spell. Areas of wild magic. A living spell appears much like a normal spell, except magical energy lingers. Okay, it doesn't require air, food, sleep, or drink. And a living spell isn't subject to dispel magic. Isn't subject to dispel magic and isn't affected by an anti-magic field, because it exists in and of itself. So here's an example of a living unseen serpent. See invisibility and true seeing and similar effects reveal that the serpent has a shape similar to that of a slender humanoid adult. And this is basically just the stats of a living unseen serpent. It's not too much different than the spell. I don't really think it requires me to really go over it. We have a mural? Mural? Oh, well, let's do the benefit of D&D Beyond and let's find out and let's know what it's called. Oh. Fun fact, they don't have the language. Usually, everything in D&D Beyond, you can click on it, and it will tell you how to pronounce it. This one does not have it. Okay. Accomplished Humanoid Warrior. It's basically a weird scorpion guy. But it has a lot of spells, right? 13th, or CR13, 195 hit points, 16 AC. Really high strength, intelligence, and charisma. Con intelligence saving throws. Dark vision to 120 feet. Is a 13th level spellcaster, as you can see here, with some decent spells. Combinations of utility like Darkness, Noxy, Invisibility, and then damaging things like Counterspell, Lightning Bolt, Polymorph, Finger of Death. 3 legendary resistances, 2 longsword attacks, or 1 sting. Longsword is 2d8 plus 4. Sting is get 10-foot reach, 1d10 plus 4 piercing damage, and then a DC 16 con save for 68 poison on a fail, half on a success. Its legendary actions are 1 for a cantrip, 2 for a longsword attack that has a reach of 10 feet, or 3 moves up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Before the move, it can make a longsword attack. We have a Neolithid, that's in Volo's Guide to Monsters for sure. We're not going to go over that. We have a Scaladar, a construct created by Torbrand, one of Halster's apprentices. Torbrand crafted magical rings to control the Scaladar. Each ring is a black metal loop with a stinger-shaped protrusion. No Scaladar can harm the wearer of such a ring, and any Scaladar within 100 feet of the wearer must speak its spoken commands, or must obey its spoken commands. Scaladar, CR8 construct, 94 hit points, 19 AC, immune to force, lightning, and poison, and resistant to fire, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic. Also immune to charm, paralyzed, and poisoned. Heals itself. Whenever it's subjected to lightning damage, it takes no damage, and deals. The sting deals an extra 2d10 lightning damage. Oh, its sting ability does an extra 2d10 lightning damage until the end of its next turn. It knows the location of other Scaladar within 100 feet. 3 attacks, 2 with its claws, 1 with its sting. The claws are 1d12 plus 4 with a grapple effect. And the sting is 1d10 plus 4 piercing plus 2d10 lightning damage. Both of those have 10-foot reach. Alright, a Shadow Assassin looks like a shadow in the monster manual, the undead creature, but this is a Shadow Assassin wielding weapons, which makes it a CR9. 78 hit points, 14 AC, high dex, vulnerable to radiant damage, but resistant to acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic, and completely immune to necrotic and poison, as well as exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, and restrained conditions. So quite a bit. Can move through spaces narrow as an inch. In dim light or darkness, it can hide as a bonus action, and it does have weakness to sunlight, giving it disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws while in the sun. It makes 2 Shadow Blade attacks for 1d6 plus 4 piercing plus 3d6 necrotic. Unless the target is immune to necrotic damage, the target's strength score is reduced by 1d4 each time it is hit by an attack. The target dies if its strength score reaches 0. The reduction lasts until it finishes a short or long rest. Neolitharid is also in Volo's Guide. I don't believe werebats were. These may be something that's in Curse of Strahd, but they look cool, so we're going to talk about them. Goblin werebats. Do they have any specific things? No, just a humanoid afflicted with a rare form of lycanthropy. Okay. 60-foot fly in bat or hybrid form. 13 AC, 24 HP. So not too much, but these could be fun because their immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage from non-silvered weapons could make one of these guys pretty crazy for a low-level party to face, because they have to know to get silver or deal other damage. And, it also has flight, so it makes it harder to hit. Alright, so it's a shape change, right, because it's a lycanthrope. It has blind sight out to a range of 60 feet, as long as it's not deafened in bat or hybrid form. We're looking at a picture of the hybrid form on the screen here. Keen hearing, advantage on perception checks rely on hearing. Nimble escape is from goblins. That gives you disengage or hide as a bonus action. Sunlight sensitivity, disadvantage on attack rolls and perception checks that rely on sight in areas of sunlight. Multi-attack in humanoid form makes 2 scimitar attacks, or 2 short bow attacks. In hybrid form, it can make 1 bite attack and 1 scimitar attack. The bite is 1d6 plus 3 piercing, and it gains temporary hit points equal to the damage dealt. That's the vampire bat effect. If the target is humanoid, it must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, be turned into a werebat. Scimitar is just 1d6 plus 3, and the short bow is the same as well. So there you have it, guys. The new monsters contained in Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. There wasn't a ton of brand new monsters. A lot of these creatures were just things that were put in there to allow you to not have to buy Volo's Guide or similar books to just be able to run the module. I don't know. There's some cool ones there, but I didn't like that I didn't have art for all of them. So some of the creatures I don't actually know what they look like just by reading the stat block. But yeah, I can see myself throwing in some werebats as an enemy for my party at some point, or these lava childs because they're freaking terrifying. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.